Brought to you by Hallow, the world's #1 prayer app.
How can I support my husband's growth? Well, I do my own healing and setting realistic expectations for rebuilding our marriage.
What are you healing from?
We've been married for 15 years, and it's basically been neglect and some emotional and occasional verbal abuse. And trying to just figure out how to move forward from there. So I started listening to your show just over a year ago. And in September, I turned the music off and I turned the lights on and said, this is actually what's happening in our marriage. And I'm not okay with it. And
Dude,
it's
good.
been pretty ugly.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You have little ones?
I do. I have a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
That made that conversation extra scary, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you cut off the music, you turned on the lights, you sat down and said, this part of our life is over. How did he react?
He didn't.
Okay.
I didn't probably do it in the very best way, but I told him I was really wanting separation, and I wrote him a long letter, and we tried to talk about it, but he kind of just ignored the whole thing and tried to just do some things better around the house and whatever. And we tried to bring in some other people to help and didn't really get a lot of help and just kind of stayed in our cycle for the last year. And I know he's making some efforts toward change, but I'm having a really hard time responding positively because I know what the cycle looks like when I respond positively to what changes he makes.
Okay. So, I want to applaud your bravery. Good on you, okay? So,
Thanks.
Often this moment, what you did is still kind of scary, right?
Yeah.
And it can feel like a nerve, like a raw nerve ending.
Yeah.
But that also means if I try to give you some coaching tips on some ideas on how to move forward, it can hurt, right? So if I walk through this with you, the best you can, like your feelings are going to be what your feelings are, right? If we could all control our feelings, how rad would that be? But we can't. Our bodies do what our bodies do. But will you at least intellectually hold space for, I think what you did was very brave and pretty amazing, and here's some next steps. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Like me
absolutely.
with you, not at you, okay?
Yeah.
Most of the time, it takes so much. Like these conversations build up for so long that they either come out, like you mentioned, kind of caustic. This is the end. I want a separation. I want this. I want this. That the other person knows you don't really mean. And they know I'm just going to weather the storm and then things will kind of get back to the way they were. Or people explode. They do something that they can't take back. They cheat, or they go buy a bunch of stupid stuff on borrowed money, or they go they do something they can't take back.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the next move. Most of the time, people are not very specific about what I need to see happen in this house. It's usually about here's how I feel, and here's what I want, and you need to start. But there needs to be some really specific benchmarks, because here's what's going to happen. I think, do you love this man? Do you love him?
Yeah, we've been together a long time.
Okay, so he's part of you. He's like an arm or a leg at this point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you love him, but you don't like this guy at all.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
That's probably fair, yeah.
Okay, like, you love him. He's part of you at this point. Y'all have made a life together, but you don't like the guy.
Yeah.
If you don't establish some pretty clear benchmarks, your like and dislike is just, the finish line there is going to keep moving. And so if you say, I just need you to help out around here some more. Well, in his head, he's got a picture of what helps out looks like. And he's got a picture of what some more looks like. And for you, you have a picture now, but you're going to be judging whether he's helping out some more by whether you feel like you like him. And that finish line will keep moving and moving and moving. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that whole cycle happen.
Okay. And then he realizes, I can't win here. There's no way that I can bring this thing back because she just keeps moving the line on me, or nothing I ever do is enough. Or as Terry Real says, most men just want to know, why doesn't my wife like me? What is so bad about me? And it comes down to a set of like aligning pictures and words and then really saying, here's what I need in this house and specific metrics. And I know that feels very unromantic and very un-Hollywood and very unsexy, but Hollywood was never real.
Yeah, I feel like in the last year, because I've talked to our eldership, and I have a couple of really good friends that we've walked through, and so I've put down some really specific things. But I think the follow through, or having like the backbone to follow through, is the hard part that I've struggled with.
Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, because I did ask him to move out, or I said I would move out with the kids if he continued to speak to us this way, or if he spoke to the kids like he had, or to me like that again. And so that stops for a few weeks, and then something happens, but I don't just move out when that happens. And we just have another conversation about it.
Okay, so you've heard me say this in the last year, behavior is a language. So he understands that when you're mad, he just has to hang on and the storm will pass.
Yeah.
Because your behavior says, forget what I say. I'm not actually going to go anywhere. And when you say speak to the kids in that way, I remember one time I sat down with a supervisor and I said, if you curse at me again, I will get up and walk out of this room and I will not come back. Are we on the same page? I never curse you. I said, if you curse at me again, I will get up and walk out. And the response, there was a long pause, and it was understood. And to this leader's credit, the supervisor's credit, it never happened again. So when you spoke to him and said, I don't like the way you talk to the kids, did you say, if you yell again, if you belittle me or make fun of me again, if you curse at us again, we leave? Or was
I have said that.
Okay.
I have said that, yeah. So it's cursing, calling names.
Great. Good for you.
Things like that.
Okay. So now it's just a matter of follow through. Or you come back and say, I'm not going to leave. I'm actually not leaving. I'm never going to leave. I want you to choose to not treat us like we're like, you don't love us, that we're in the way somehow in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you something insane?
Yeah.
When's the last time you made him a cup of coffee?
Every day, almost.
Okay. All right. So you're trying.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of years trying. This probably the last 3 months has gotten really, really hard. I just kind of have shut down in a lot of ways. Like, I'm really having trouble just getting through my days.
Is that because you know what's coming?
Yeah. And I'm a homeschool mom, and there's just never a break.
Yeah, but it's bigger than that. Are you coming to the realization that your life is not going to change unless you do something dramatic?
Yeah, and I feel like I've been making dramatic steps for a year.
Okay. You've been making dramatic statements for a year, but you haven't been making dramatic steps, right?
Yeah, other than bringing other people into the picture to try to help get us some guidance and direction.
Does he want that guidance and direction?
I don't think so. I think he says he does, but it's really hard for him to submit to any kind of authority.
So if behavior is a language, what's he been telling you for the last year?
I don't know, because he knows I'm not going to do anything.
What has he been telling you? If behavior is a language, what has your husband been telling you for the last year? After you sat down and said, I can't do this anymore.
He's tried to put in some effort.
So let me ask you this on behalf of him. Are you done? Is this theater?
I've been asking myself that for a couple of weeks now, for really solidly, if I'm done.
Okay.
And about 90% of me says yes.
Okay.
I just don't know how.
What does that mean?
I can't support ourselves, and I can't support the kids and I don't have a job, and I homeschool my kids, and
so some of those things are going to have to change.
Yeah.
Your kids are going to have to go to regular school, and you're going to have to get a job, and you're going to have to do this officially so that your husband will pay child support and alimony.
And I don't want that. I want.
I know what you want, but what is what is. He doesn't want to make it work. If behavior's a language for a year, he's been telling you, yeah, I don't care. I just want you to turn the lights back off and turn the music back on. Let's just go about our regular life.
Yeah.
I'll meet with whatever guy you want me to meet with, and I'll tell him I'm going to work hard, but I'm not going to. And I'd rather have my ego intact than my family intact.
Yeah, I think there's an element of that for sure.
Well, I mean, if somebody won't submit to an authority, it's funny. I started a new training program with a new trainer, and I've had the same, I've been worked with the same guys for years, and I just started a whole new thing just to mix it up. And it's a pretty amazing company. And the trainer sat down with me, and we walked through it all. And the trainer was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, you know all this stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, I know all the stuff." And he said, "How can I help you?" And I said, "I'm submitting to you. If you tell me to do this, and you put it in the app, I'm going to do it with no questions asked." And he was like, "Wow." I go, "I am submitting to you. You are my trainer from this point forward."
Mm-hmm.
I said that to my minister at my church. When I signed up to place membership at your church, I submitted to your leadership. And that's just my particular faith community.
Yeah.
And your husband won't submit to a therapist who says, "I know more about what's happening than you do."
Yeah.
Nah, I don't want that. I'd rather be right. I'd rather my illusion of power. That's cool. He's going to lose everything. Or here's the other side. He's not going to lose anything. Nothing's going to change. He's just going to slowly, his wife's just going to turn to dust in his presence.
Yeah, that's happened.
Yeah, I can feel it. You don't deserve that. Your kids don't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that. And so I think the conversation is 90%, you've done all the feeling parts of this. There's the tactile, direct. How much money will it cost for me to get an apartment for the kids? Or how much, husband, you're moving out on this date. I've got somebody at my local church who will serve as an attorney and will do this at a discounted rate for us. You are telling me by your actions you don't want to be married to me anymore. Because you can't curse at me and the kids, and you can't scare your family, and all the other things that you're not telling me on the air, which I know are going on. Fair?
Yeah.
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 And so here, I guess my challenge for you is this. I would love for you to sit down with somebody and actually put a pen to paper and make an actual plan with actual numbers and exhale on that plan. Because right now you've made all these grand gestures and these statements, and they're brave and they're different, but they don't have any action behind them. They don't have any steps behind them. And good on you. You've continued to tell them, you cannot talk to us like this, and here's what that means. And I'm sure there's other things you've said. You cannot hit me again. You cannot spin this again. You cannot come home drunk again, or whatever you've laid out for him. And through his actions, he said, I don't care. I will weather the storm. And you always make these big proclamations. You don't ever do anything. And here she goes again. I'm going to let it ride, and then we're going to move on. And if you want to let it ride, let it ride. Let it ride. but stop beating yourself up over it. Or if you are done, then 90% you've thought through it and felt through it and prayed through it and gotten wise counsel through it, and there's 10% left, then if you're done, then for the sake of him, for you, for your kids, go make a plan and put it on paper and see what happens next. At least you're acting from a place of with a firm foundation instead of just sense of feeling. My dream is that your marriage is saved. Is that he goes, what am I doing? My stupid ego is about to blow this whole thing up. And me and my wife haven't liked each other for a long time, but we can get that back. That's not hard to get back. We can get that back. And I don't want these kids to grow up with going to 2 different Christmases and 2 different Thanksgivings. We can get that back. God, I wish you would do that. And I wish you would love yourself enough to demand that. But also there's a financial reality. There's a fiscal, there's reality after reality after reality after reality. I get that. But I think it's time for action steps. You say, how can I support my husband's growth? It doesn't sound like he's growing. If you see growth in trajectory, then you start practicing how do we like each other again. Let's go do fun things together. Let's do questions for humans together. Let's go be silly together. Let's go see a movie together. Let's go see a play together. I don't know what y'all are into. Let's go fishing together. Whatever things y'all are into. Let's begin to work on our friendship. Let's work on liking ourselves together. But what I'm hearing is he's not growing. It sounds like he abused you one last time. You said enough is enough is enough. And you drew the line, and then he stepped over that line, and you're thinking, this is real. Download the Hallow app today and get 3 free months at hallow.com/Delony.